So the history of the Carissa mine starts in 1867. About 4 to 6 soldiers from Fort Bridger came up to explore and do a little bit of gold prospecting around what would eventually become South Pass City. Wyoming's mining history actually begins here. The Carissa claim is the first mining claim in the state of Wyoming. The Carissa gold rush then would continue on for about 100 years. When things started to go south in terms of gold mining, a lot of our miners went to coal, they went to oil, they went to other locations. So it's kind of a place where Wyoming's industrial history starts.
Initially, the intent was for us to go out and do an inventory and investigation and write a report about the hazards that we ran into, both environmental and physical. AML submitted that to the 57th state legislature to make that determination whether they're going to buy it.
As part of that legislation to purchase and add it to the state historic site, a partnership was created between state parks and the Abandoned Mine Lands Division of the DEQ.
The Carissa property is 201 acres. Over time and climate, everything else, wind, it just was starting to disappear.
You know, it was wobbly steps, there were uneven steps, there were no safety things for the miners. They just used to, you know, every once in a while, I'm sure people fell off and broke things.
Respec is an engineering consulting firm. We had the role as engineer for the project, starting in 2003, and worked up and through 2021. And we kind of had oversight on a lot of the design, the investigation, and then the construction management on the site for all the projects as well.
This really was a community effort. We did public outreach, we pulled people in, we had funding that came from several different areas, not just the AML funding, and we were able to dovetail different interests and different pots of money for the state parks to do a terrific job of interpretation of a working mine.
Our focus for the state park side was to create as much of an experience for the visiting public as we possibly can. We really started to focus on creating a direct experience of this place. These industrial environments had noise, they were busy, they were complex, there was lots of stuff, there was lots of things going on at once, and we wanted to make sure that that was one of our focuses as we came in to interpret it.
That's really critical to the whole metamorphism of this project because it spanned a long time. I believe we had 6 phases of construction and over 44 task orders to go in and do construction. Each one of those had several phases of work to be done.
Along with abandoned mines, there are mine openings that are left, whether that's a portal adit or a vertical opening. So we close off the mines to protect the public from accessing those dangerous hazards. And we came inside the mill and protected all the surfaces to ensure that no one would get in contact with mercury or lead or anything like that was used for post-processing of mining. And then third, we also did a lot of structural stabilization, fixed up the roofs, also installing foundations for them as well.
We set up some pipe railways on some of the old steps. We had to rebuild some things. We did a bunch of that kind of stuff to make it a lot safer for the general public to be in here.
You know, I've been working in abandoned mine lands for over a decade, and I think this is a very unique site because a lot of the things we do, we close to protect the public, but the public isn't aware of the closures. They aren't aware of the mines, they're not aware of what we do. This is a very unique situation because now that is a state park where we take not just the public do tours, but school children, we providing an educational resource for our communities. It's really an asset to the state, and it wouldn't have been possible without the work that was done here by the AML in coordination with state parks and the State Historic Preservation Office.
Approximately 34,000 is what it is that have come through the Carissa since it opened to the public in 2013. People are really interested in our industrial history, and it's something that isn't showcased very often. A lot of times industrial history is kind of set aside.
It's a story of human endurance. It's a story of where our materials come from. It's a story of how people work together to get stuff done. This was one of the most satisfactory and satisfying projects that I was involved with because of what we ended up with.
So that alone teaches so much. Well, you know, you can write all that stuff down in a text panel, but it has more impact when you can actually see it, hear it, smell it, and kind of imagine yourself working in that environment. And both AML and RESPEC were fantastic in working with that, because they were able to come up with creative ideas and creative mitigation strategies that worked.
The legacy of what happened here in 1867 and on is going to be forever protected. And that's pretty cool. You're going to have families coming up here with kids long after I'm gone.
I'm the last of a very long line of project managers to be able to work here at the Carissa. The Carissa is definitely a project that AML can be proud of. And we're really happy that this legacy is going to continue to be protected and tell a really important part of Wyoming's mining history.